in a township in a children's hospital there for the remainder of my stay, which was another 3 months. And I was changed in a way that I will never be that girl I was before that trip. And it was really hard to come back to the States because I had a very hard time assimilating the person that I was there versus the person that I was here, which was at that point, I lived in Beverly Hills and drove a BMW and felt an enormous amount of guilt. So really, I then became pretty obsessed with trying to use this exercise, I should say, this new-found philanthropic motivation that I had in whatever way I could. UNICEF seemed to be the right fit. What I loved about UNICEF so much is that they're really the only organization that will take you and put you down into a war-torn country so that you actually have the experience to speak passionately about it. It's not just about memorizing statistics of how many children we're trying to save and what, stuff like that. They really want you to have a personal experience. So the traveling that I've done, not only with UNICEF, but just philanthropically in general, is always pretty great.
It sounds like it was your travel reform epiphany. And in this country, because we're lucky to have such a big continent and two friends to the north and south politically, only about 20% of Americans have passports. And only that number has increased because now you need one to travel to Canada and Mexico. So what were some of your early perceptions of the world? Were you one of these kids who was told by your mom, eat everything on your plate because there are children starving in fill in the blank? And when did you start traveling, apart from this revelatory trip, and see for yourself?
Well, my mom was, Italian, so she wanted me to eat everything on my plate for very different reasons. But, I think that what she did, what my parents did instill in me was that we are all the same. No one's better or worse than someone else. We are all great. And to have a compassionate heart. I started traveling, the first trip I remember taking was to Disney World when I was 4 years old. I remember swimming in the pool there and meeting Mickey Mouse, and which is great. The first time I had ever really been on a plane, and all of those really great memories that sort of become imprinted from your childhood. Then I did quite a bit of traveling. When I was 7, I got a job in the Second National Touring Company of the play Annie. We toured all over the United States, which, a girl who had never been really outside of New York, it was pretty fascinating. We went everywhere from Hawaii to everywhere in between Hawaii and New York, basically. And that was, an amazing experience. Other than that, I traveled to England to work. I've been working since I was a little girl, so for me, that was my only real form of travel was through working. I could go through the list of places I haven't been that I'd like to be.
Well, one of them is Paris. You haven't been to Paris?
I've never been to Italy. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, but I don't know, it seemed like when I had time to travel that traveling in a way that was going to benefit children was more important than anything else. I'll get there, obviously, but it just hasn't taken a priority yet.
You remember that cover of the New Yorker that showed the map of the United States and compared to New York, and New York was huge and everything on the other side of the Hudson River or whatever it was, like California was this big. Was that, growing up, of course, was that your sense of the world? You learned the world, from your vantage point?
For sure. My perspective was very limited. And I think that is a lot more true of people my age than the younger generations because, now it's just a global marketplace. because of social media, we all sort of live in the same, it doesn't matter if we're here or in Iran, we're all sort of in the same world, which is great. I think that social media has given us that connectivity to people so far away. But yeah, I mean, that was all I knew was my very New York family and neighborhood, and I think all kids are like that.
When